So imagine your time on earth was coming to an end, and you knew that. And imagine you had the opportunity to sit down and share one final meal with your family and some of your closest friends. What would you say to them? What would you want to tell them? What would you want them to hear? I have a hard time imagining that you would waste your time. I don't think you would be talking about the weather. I don't think you'd be talking about sports. I don't think you'd be talking about cars. I think you'd be very intentional about your time with them. For me, if I had the opportunity to talk to my family one last time, knowing that they'd be the last time I would see them and they would see me, I would want to express three things. I'd want to tell them how much I love them, how much I care for them. I would want to comfort their hearts, knowing that they're probably going to be pretty sad. And I would want to give them some hope, something to hold on to. Well, if you jump into John chapter 15 and 16, this is the scene that you find yourself in. Jesus is sitting at a table with his disciples. They're sharing one last meal together. Jesus, knowing that his time on earth is coming to a close, that in a few short hours, he's going to be put on trial and then ultimately crucified. He's having this conversation with his disciples, and he's very intentional about what he's sharing with them, what he wants to communicate to them. And you see those three themes of love, comfort, and hope woven throughout these two chapters. You know, he first kind of expresses his care for them, his affection towards them, and how much he loves them. He says in John chapter 15, verse 9, "As the Father has loved me, so I love you." And he goes on and he expresses that because of that love, they're not alone. So he begins to comfort their hearts. He begins to encourage them that they're not in this alone, that they have one another and they have a love for one another. But then he does share with them that life is going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You see, the world hated Jesus. The world's ideals, the way the world thinks and functions was in stark contrast to Jesus's ideals and his kingdom. And so the world hated Jesus, and Jesus reveals to them that the world is going to hate them as well. That things are going to be difficult. That their times are going to be hard. There's going to be times where they're going to struggle. And so he lets them know that that's going to happen, but he doesn't just leave it at that. He then continues to comfort their hearts, to say, one, you're not alone, you have each other, but two, part of the reason why I have to go is so that the Spirit can come. And that Spirit will come and it's going to equip you to finish my work on earth. And so he continues to comfort their hearts, but then he shifts to giving them hope. You know, he tells them that in chapter 16 that their sorrow is going to be turned into joy and celebration. And then he closes out chapter 16 with the verse that stood out to me the most. It's verse 33. It says, "I have said these things to you." So everything that he just had talked about over the past few chapters, 14, 15, and 16, he says, "I have said all of these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." And so his expression, the reason why he told them and expressed that he loved them, the reason why he comforted their hearts, the reason why he gave them hope was so that they could have peace. And the reason why they could have peace is because he would overcome the world. And another way of saying that is that he would have victory over the world. What Jesus was pointing to, what Jesus was alluding to, was the fact that he would be dying on the cross for them, and that he wouldn't stay dead, and that he would have victory over sin and death through his crucifixion and ultimately through his resurrection. And so what he's doing is he's foreshadowing what's about to happen. He's pointing them towards the cross. In effect, he's pointing them to himself. And what he's telling them, what he's saying to them is if you want to see true love, it's seen in the work that I'm going to do at the cross. If you want lasting comfort, it can be experienced through what I am going to do on the cross. And if you want to have real hope, it's found in what I'm going to do on the cross. And so Jesus is pointing his followers back to himself as where they can find true love, true comfort, and true hope. And so as we're leading up to Easter and we're kind of taking a look at Jesus' final week, I want to encourage you to do the same. That in times of hardship and heartache, in times of sadness and sorrow, when things in this world get difficult, whether that's in the season we're finding ourselves now or tomorrow or in the years to come, whenever you go through something difficult, whenever you feel anxious or worried or afraid, whenever your heart is heavy, look to Jesus. Look to Jesus, because in the cross, he provides and shows love. In the cross, he gives comfort, and in the cross, he gives us hope. And so look to Jesus. Always look to Jesus. So I hope that over the next few days, you can spend some time reflecting on the love, comfort, and hope that Jesus provides. I'd encourage you to read through chapter 15 and 16, just spending time thanking God for all that he has done for us through the person and work of Jesus. And I want you to know that you too don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be anxious. You don't have to be worried, because Jesus has overcome the world.